music, theatre, artworks and literature which we can explore and enjoy together.
Everybody's welcome.
Sunday with Michael Portillo, every Sunday at 11 a.m. on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
I've been in Westminster for a long time, but I know that though power may be here, its effect on people's lives is across the whole of the country. We may be where rules are made, but it's where they're implemented that matters. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for forthright and frank discussion on where Britain has come from, where it's going, and where it will end up. That's State of the Nation, Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Vox Populi, Vox Dei.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk then?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
The GB News audience is different, it's unique, because they see through the nonsense.
We want to debate with each other, we want to listen and maybe learn.
We have a chat. That's what we do. We try and have a chat.
They'll watch my programme while they're eating their tea, they'll watch breakfast while they're busy getting their kids ready for school.
We want to hear what matters to you, what is news for you.
And what's brought you out here today?
What are the biggest issues affecting this particular area?
The audience are the best thing about GB News.
Their friends, their family.
They're people who need to have their voices heard.
They're passionate about the channel, they're passionate about what they believe in.
The one thing about GB News is you get a chance to speak.
Talk to me about why so many people have gathered here today.
Do you want to say something back in return? The GB News audience is what makes GB News special.
It's incredible to see.
They shape our programmes, they shape our output, and they shape our channel.
That's what makes us the fearless champion of Britain.
Good evening, it's 9 o'clock. I'm Alex Armstrong. What a show tonight.
Read remedies would be to complete an online thinking skills course. Second one is to complete an online impact.
That's right, thinking skills. Well, this is a broadcast exclusive. Police showed up at a woman's house after she posted online and demanded that she take a thinking course or face further action. That's Annika Svenska, the victim there. She's joining me tonight at 10 o'clock to reveal this shocking attack on free speech and...
You're facilitating illegal immigration, madam. Are you aware this is a criminal offence? It's a criminal offence.
Well, French charity workers have been exposed for aiding and abetting illegal migrants, seemingly, as they break into Britain. We're going to expose all on the show. And breaking in the last few moments...
Rupert was elected as a Reform UK MP under Nigel's leadership. So clearly there's common ground on lots of issues.
Well, apparently tonight, Reform UK wants to launch the largest military operation in the English Channel since World War II. That is to stop the small boat arrivals from France. Also, Rupert Lowe has offered negotiations with Reform UK. Some think it's going to reunite the right, should we say, but others are a little bit more suspicious. My guests indeed are going to go head to head, not my head. Plus, another sickening betrayal of our veterans. Ministers have been accused of launching a stealth clawback of their pensions. And have you heard the story of Shakespeare, a hero who falls for a Muslim man named Muhammad at a rave in Croydon? I'm going to tell you all about this woke, taxpayer-funded projects that your money is being spent on. It is bonkers. Got a feeling to be one of those shows tonight. Joining me this evening, Labour MP for Brent West, Barry Gardner, businessman and activist Adam Brooks, and journalist and commentator Ellie Wheatley. And what do you think is going on here?
All the rappers we watched were so gallantly streaming.
Sorry, I should have told you to put some earbuds in or something to block that out. Anyway, listen, you know, we're going to talk about stories you don't see broadcast anywhere else on British TV. A massive 2 hours coming up, but we're going to get you first your news with Bethany Elsey.
Alex, thank you. Your top stories from the GB newsroom at 9:02. The Prime Minister has vowed to be relentless in tackling the number of migrants crossing the English Channel. It has more than 2,000 have made the journey in small boats since Andy Burnham entered Downing Street. The total for the year so far is more than 40% lower than the same period last year, but the Prime Minister says there's still a lot more to do.
We're just going to be relentless. People want to see this issue addressed. I heard that on the doorsteps in Makerfield. But we also need to build a system that offers safe routes for people as well, because that also takes away the selling point of the gangs. So on every level, we've got to come at this, but crucially, increasing the enforcement activity. So there's been a doubling of enforcement officers through the National Crime Agency.
2 helicopters have collided mid-air in Greece while helping to tackle severe wildfires. 2 people on board one of the helicopters, a Danish and a Greek national, died in the crash, while another Greek and a British national were pulled from the other aircraft alive. More than 100 homes northwest of Athens have been destroyed, with surrounding villages being evacuated. Meanwhile, officials on the island of Kefalonia say the region is facing a critical night as fire crews battle to bring wildfires there under control. A 26-year-old man has been arrested following the death of a Scottish woman whose body was found inside a suitcase in Greece. 38-year-old Elizabeth Jane Ross was found by a homeless man in a derelict building in Athens last month. She's believed to have died between 5 and 7 days before she was found, and it's understood the suspect used her phone and accessed her bank account in that time. Cleveland police have admitted they failed to arrest a repeated child abuser despite a warrant being issued 18 months before he sexually assaulted and murdered his girlfriend's daughter. A warrant was issued for Harrison Simpson after he failed to attend court, and the force said it made multiple inquiries and attempts to arrest him, but they failed. 2-year-old Isabel Welsh suffered from weeks of abuse, including 21 broken bones before she collapsed at her home in Teesside in September. Simpson and Isabel's mother, Alexandra Walker, were convicted of murder and child cruelty earlier this week. And officials in Russia say an explosion outside a restaurant near the centre of Moscow was a so-called brutal act of terrorism. 3 people were killed and at least 20 others injured when the homemade bomb was detonated. There are unconfirmed reports a Russian military commander may have been the intended target but was unharmed, with other speculation that the attack could be linked to the war in Ukraine. You're up to date for now. Let's get back to Alex.
You can now watch GB News live across the United States of America and the world on Truth Plus. Scan the QR code to find out more, or visit gbnews.com/truth.
Illegal migrants are being helped across the English Channel by French charity workers. Well, that's what it seems like to me, at least.
So you can see these NGO workers here who have been helping the illegal immigrants during their journey, now very happy apparently. Guys, est-ce que vous parlez anglais? Est-ce que vous parlez anglais?
Non.
It's a public place. It's a public place. C'est un lieu public, no? You're facilitating illegal immigration, madam. Are you aware this is a criminal offence? It's a criminal offence.
What lovely women they seem to be, eh? Well, that was Shadow Home Secretary Chris Philp, who was there on the beach and filmed that this week. Well, charity workers from the French group Opal Exil seem to help dozens of men, illegal immigrants, across a French beach so they can break into our country. One gave Philp the middle finger as he asked very reasonable questions about what they were doing there and whether indeed it was a crime. The charity website is quite clear about their intentions. When it's translated into English, it states this: it works to combat all forms of social exclusion. It supports displaced people, migrants, refugees and populations in distress, particularly those whose attempts to cross the United Kingdom have failed or experienced difficulties on the Opal coast. Yet that video seems to show the charity present, active and supporting migrants who are launching off to our country. The French police, funded by hundreds of millions of pounds of British taxpayers' money, under the latest deal at least, just stood by, didn't they, and gave migrants a polite warning that this is dangerous. This is what you tell to kids, isn't it? They even told Philp they were instructed to let the migrants go. Well, in my opinion, charities like that one are acting in the same way as the human trafficking gangs are. So why aren't we just arresting them then and demanding that they're extradited here to Britain to answer for it? Andy Burnham claims the plan is working, though.
The number of crossings is down by 50% this year compared with the same period in 2025. So clearly progress is being made, but we're not complacent, and it's why I am here. So we're just going to be relentless.
So the gangs organise the boats, the charities seem to help the migrants on them, and the French gendarmes watch on. That's what it looks like to me. We're paying hundreds of millions of pounds for this to be policed, are we? Is that the plan, Andy? Because I am sick of it. I'm sick of the people of this country being taken for total mugs while our government seems to hide behind what's really going on. Just deploy the Navy, drag the boats back at this point and stick two middle fingers up to France, the same way their people are literally doing to us. It's time to get tough on this issue. Let's get thoughts of my panel. Labour MP for Brent West, Barry Gardner, businessman and activist Adam Brooks, and journalist and commentator Ellie Wheatley. Good evening, everybody. Adam, I'll start with you to kick this off. That footage of Chris Philp has seemingly gone viral over the last few days. I remember he was actually live with us on GB News Breakfast a few days ago. That charity worker stuff exposed something, and the fact that the French police, the gendarmes, were just standing there going, oh, you know, it's just seeming like a joke to British people.
Yeah, fair play for him to exposing this. I'm glad people are. But these charities really are really dark forces. We've spoke about NGOs and these charities for many years, and these women are not just helping them on the beaches now. They're helping them to beat our asylum system too. These charities are giving them information on how to beat our system. We've seen it in the camps. They've all got documents on what to say, where to go, what to do when you get to Britain. It is orchestrated, and I cannot believe these charities are not looked into. I also want to point this out, and I pointed out on Friday. I'm not accusing these women, but many of these women in these charities sleep, have sexual relations with the migrants. It's a known fact. There was a problem many years ago with Care for Calais. So you have to question why they're doing it. It's not just out the kindness of their heart. There are many different sort of reasons why they're doing it, and I think it needs to be looked into.
Yeah, Ellie, I've been reporting this the last couple of weeks because it seems that the crossings are not only getting slightly more regular at the moment, but they're also becoming more dangerous. And as I said just the other night, we've seen successive incidents now that raise a serious cause for concern, or should raise serious cause for concern. We've seen 3 female illegal migrants on a boat. All of a sudden, randomly, all 3 of them died of a heart attack at the same time. I don't know who's buying that one, but there we go. We saw the case of migrants who allegedly might have killed someone on the beaches of France before jumping on a mega dinghy to Britain. And so what I'm seeing is, and we also heard reports just last night, that the French authorities are seeing a dramatic increase in guns and weapons being found at illegal migrant camps. There is seemingly a problem happening now. And I think when you see that charities are, in what it seems to me, when you look at the footage, assisting this, they're becoming a huge part of the problem.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, that footage was almost quite funny, really, because it exposes the left who claim to be, you know, the kind ones. They're actually not at all. And indeed, encouraging people to take that journey, that dangerous journey where you could die, is not benevolent at all. But as you say, Adam, you know, we have a similar problem in the UK. I mean, 800 charities are funded by the UK taxpayer. And often they are activist charities that are literally going against government policies. You know, when the Home Office want to deport an illegal migrant, they have lawyers that are funded by these charities, which are funded by us, to try and block that deportation. So it's a thing that we really need to look into, you know, totally repeal the Charities Act of 2011, because it's becoming a real problem. So yeah, no, I totally agree with you. I think it's it's a nightmare.
On the topic that Adam was discussing for Care for Kelly, there's no evidence of them doing anything wrong. I think that's just the point.
No, but what I said was truthful.
Yeah, fair enough, Adam. Fair enough. Let me come over to you, Barry, on this one. We saw Andy Burnham. He was out there today on the White Cliffs of Dover, wasn't he? Looking over at the problem, saying he's going to be relentless on this. How relentless is he going to be? More relentless than Keir Starmer?
Well, look, the first thing I wanted to say was I think Kelly's absolutely right to be talking about this is not charity to encourage and facilitate people going into those boats. Is it 187 people are chronicled to have died in those crossings? This is an extremely dangerous thing to do, and therefore, I think if the French have an equivalent of our Charities Commission, they should be looking into the charitable aims and basis of those organisations. Look, in terms of the numbers, we know that numbers are down this year. They're down by 43% lower than last year. We know that actually 70,000 people have now been removed from the UK, and 10,000 foreign criminals have been sent back to where they came from. There is progress, and Mark White on GB News, as your security correspondent, has actually acknowledged that and said that, I think his phrase was, the smash the gangs does seem to be having an effect, because what's happening is people are being moved down the coast. As to what you said, and I know that Reform UK have come out with this, let's have armadas in the Channel.
I did write that before that policy came out, by the way. Just to be really clear, I wrote this about 4 o'clock today. But there we go.
I have to say, you may have done, but of course it was an old policy that Reform had actually a while ago. Let me give you the maths as to why it won't work. There are 22 miles between Calais and Dover. The territorial waters of each country extend 12 miles. And therefore, the moment somebody crosses that 12 miles into our territorial water, actually, they only need to go 10 miles out from France to do it, but it's 11:11. So they are then in UK waters and can claim asylum. Now, you might have the Navy stand there, and the French Navy might do exactly the same. What are you going to do? I mean,
well, I'll tell you what we'll do, Barry.
Plan.
We're going to get into a lot of that
you do need
at 10 o'clock. But
you do need to have cooperation and correspondence with other countries.
Can I just push back on something Barry said? Barry's trying to gaslight the audience here, as is the Home Office, in saying that 70,000 illegals have been sent home. No, they haven't, Barry.
I said removed.
Right, removed. But you're playing on the words there. The 70,000 number includes many tens of thousands that wanted to go home. Visa have expired. Only 4% of asylum seekers that have come over via the Channel, whether it be a lorry or a dinghy, have ever been deported. 4%. That is disgusting, and that is not improving under the Labour government.
But what you do have to understand then, Adam, is the reason for that. Partly it's because their claims have not been able to be processed. Now, one of the good things that's happened, actually...
You took away Rwanda, Barry.
Which could have processed a whole huge number of, 300...
It was a deterrent.
No, it wasn't.
Let me bring Ellie in, gents. Let me bring the lady, the only woman on the panel in. Come on, let's give us some spotlight here. What do you think is the solution to this? Because of course the Rwanda plan was stopped straight away. Yeah. The boats are still coming. They are, and Barry's right to point out they are less than last year. But in the last week, I think Guido Fawkes was reporting that actually they're up 37% versus Keir Starmer's first week.
Yeah,
in office.
Absolutely. 2,000 people have crossed the Channel since Burnham came in, and since the last election, 77,000 people have actually crossed the Channel. So, you might say that 70,000 people have left the UK, but actually there's still a whole load coming in, and so, the numbers don't actually really add up there. I think clearly you have to, be really, really strict on this, and the Rwanda scheme did actually deter a lot of people. I mean, the Irish government was complaining about it at the time, and it hadn't even actually come into effect. I mean, we know this. But I think, the Tories came up with a plan, which was to have a third country to immediately deport them, and that's where they get process their asylum claims. I'm not sure if they've actually landed on a country or an island, maybe it's the Ascension Islands or something, to do that. But that is absolutely number one, because, and another thing is that if you come across illegally, whether it's under a lorry or a dinghy, you will never, ever have the right to claim citizenship or asylum in the UK. That's number one.
We have to leave it there, guys, but we will, of course, be talking about this issue a little bit later on, giving Reform's new policy on it. Just quick word here from Rosa on your say. Broken record, Barry, she says. Only 4% of the so-called removals are illegal migrants. Most are voluntary returned home with zero involvement from the authorities.
If I'm a broken record on it, what on earth is GBNews? You talk about nothing else except the...
Well, we are going to do something different in a minute. Gents, all right, we are going to do something different in a second. But just to reiterate, there is no evidence of systematic improper relations with migrants or organisations like Care for Calais. GB News put the claims of the charity workers helping migrants across the Channel to Britain, of course, to Opal Exel. A spokesperson told this to GB News. Thank you for your inquiry, but we do not wish to respond to newspapers, we're not a newspaper, that contributes to the spread of xenophobic ideas in England and Europe. There you go. Time now for a Great British giveaway. You know the deal. 60 grand tax-free cash, 5 grand gold bar. Coming up next is some big stories, so stay tuned.
We're celebrating a golden summer with a terrific two-part Great British giveaway. First, you could win a sensational £60,000 in tax-free cash to spend however you like this year. What would you do with that? And that's not all, as you'll also win our most precious prize to date, a fine gold bar worth over £5,000. It's pure gold to own, trade or gift to a loved one and secure their financial future. So make sure you don't miss your chance to bank over £65,000 worth of prizes in our Golden Summer celebration. For a chance to win £60,000 in tax-free cash and a real gold bar, text GOLD to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entry starts at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB22 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 21st of August. This is a network giveaway. Entries will be pulled. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Yes, good luck, everybody. Look, coming up next.
Agreed remedies would be to complete an online thinking skills course. Second one is to complete an online impact.
It's bonkers. I've got a broadcast exclusive here. Police showed up at a woman's house after she posted online and demanded she take a thinking course or face further action. 10 p.m. Do not miss that one. It is bonkers. But next, Rupert Lowe, the leader of Restore Britain, has offered negotiations with Reform UK. Some think it's going to unite the right. Others are a lot more suspicious. And next, I've got two guests who are going to go head-to-head on it.
Bold. They are under no illusion. Ray, are you a human trafficker? Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it. Don't get us on the BBC. Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines. The smell of gasoline. Should we be worried about it? From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos. What I'm going to do now is they are throwing things out the car as we speak. Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/your say. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/your say, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I ever got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Britain is not just a geographical expression. We are a people bound together by history and culture that are distinctively British. Join me to celebrate our music, theatre, artworks and literature, which we can explore and enjoy together.
Everybody's welcome.
Sunday with Michael Portillo. Every Sunday at 11 a.m. on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Here at GB News, we made a promise to tell your stories.
And on the 6th of August, we're marking 5 years of doing exactly that.
Celebrate with us by having your say. Join in the debates live on TV and radio.
And meeting your favourite presenters across the country, from Leeds to Aberdeen, from Belfast to Barry Island.
Plus, join me in Essex for our biggest live show of the year. Scan the QR code or visit gbnews.com/celebrate. Terms and conditions apply.
Some people enjoy lazy Sunday mornings, but not me.
What's the truth of the matter?
So that's a very live question.
Would you support him if he waters down these plans?
Before the spin sets in, I'll be getting to the truth.
This is personal.
No soft questions, no easy answers.
It's one thing if the state has rules in this country. It's another thing whether the police and others actually police them.
Setting the agenda and holding those in power to account.
You can't really blame her if the system is set up this way. You will not want to miss it, trust me.
The Camilla Tominey Show, Sundays from 9:30, only on GB News.
Welcome back, everybody. Well, surprise move this morning, wasn't it? Because Restore Britain's Rupert Lowe offered Reform UK an olive branch, or what some people would call an olive branch, to work together to build a future patriotic government.
That is why today I'm reaching out to put personalities and our past disagreements aside for the good of the country.
Well, Mr Lowe said he would only agree to a pact if Nigel Farage agreed to 5 policies, including mass deportations, a ban on the burqa and a referendum on the death penalty. He also said that future, I think, current Tory party ministers or former ministers would not be allowed to serve in a future government. Reform's Andrew Rosendale spoke to GB News earlier today.
Rupert was elected as a Reform UK MP under Nigel's leadership. So clearly there's common ground on lots of issues.
Well, Nigel Farage has responded tonight. He said this: "To deliver change, I understand Reform UK will need the support of people from other parties, as well as millions who have never voted before. That is a broad coalition I am building." So, should Reform be more open to uniting the right and accepting, perhaps, Restore's offer? Well, I'm now joined by commentator and YouTube sensation Bruce Unfiltered, and another sensation, political commentator Lee Harris. Good evening, gentlemen. It's a pleasure to have you both on at the same time. Look, Bruce, I'll start with you. What do you think of this offer from Rupert Lowe to Nigel Farage, or from Restore Britain to Reform UK?
I think, Alex, I made my points very clear on social media earlier today that it felt to me a little bit like very closely after the Manchester election, they probably didn't perform quite as well as they wanted to, picking up, 46,000 votes out of a potential 2.1 million, which is another conversation for another day because the vote count or the people that turned out was terrible. But I do think after Makerfield, after the Manchester by-election and possibly other elections that have taken place, they've kind of realised that they're not the political force social media made them to be, and that they might be struggling and they need to form some sort of coalition to effectively what Lowe said today, unite the right, which they didn't seem too interested in for the past sort of 6 to 8 months. So I did find it a little bit odd today, to be perfectly honest. And it seemed like a list of demands more than we need to unite under one banner.
Yeah, so you're a little bit suspicious of it, if I'm right in saying that, Bruce. Now, Lee, you think there's a good chance that we can unite the right? Do you think that there should be some negotiation between the two parties?
Well, I think, to start with, I think what Rupert did today was actually quite a good move. You're absolutely right to be suspicious of it. I don't disagree with anything that Bruce has just said. But I think what's happened is what we've seen is we're having a slightly different conversation that we had 24 hours ago. And what I've seen in comments on X and people responding to Nigel's response is all of a sudden we've got Restore voters talking about doing a deal or working with Reform to unite the right, and that has changed the tone of the debate. Now, it doesn't really matter to me what Rupert's intentions were, and I'm perfectly sure there's some clever politics behind it in his mind as well. But I also think it shows a little bit of weakness to Rupert Lowe as well. But what he's doing, I think, is he's changed the debate. And I was quite shocked, I have to admit, because like Bruce just said, it wasn't that long ago that Rupert Lowe was saying that Nigel Farage could never be Prime Minister. And now we've got an about turn. Now, I'm very happy with that. I'm a person that likes to kind of straddle both sides a little bit. Now, I believe reform is probably the best vehicle that we have to win the next election. But I also understand that you have to take the political landscape as we see it. Now, the political landscape as we see it includes Restore, whether we like it or not. And let's just say Nigel will come out today with a harsh rejection to say, this is utterly ludicrous, insulted Restore voters. He could have handled this a lot worse than he did. I was actually pleasantly surprised with Nigel Farage's response. I've seen some people say it's a bit weak and but I think it kind of needed to be, because what I didn't want to see above all else was Nigel to come out of the blocks, insult Restore voters, insult this potential public olive branch, but he's dealt with it, I think, with an element of restraint and an element of respect, which is what I like to see.
Yeah, I think I was actually quite surprised to see Nigel Farage respond to it, I have to admit. Bruce, in terms of all of this negotiation, I think you pointed out something at the start of this. Rupert Lowe has basically put out some red lines. He's made a demand. I think some of the red lines on policies could be quite easily got over the line by Reform and Restore voters on both sides. But there is something there that I think actually might be a red line for Reform, which is saying, actually, people like Robert Jenrick, Andrew Rosendale, Danny Kruger, who else am I missing? Suella Braverman would not be allowed to serve in a ministerial position in a future government. What's your take on the negotiation stance here?
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? The question, Alex, and as well, I convey with what Lee said there, with quite a lot of it. I do like how this has played out across social media today. But going back to your point, I like Suella Braverman, and from the earliest points of Restore coming, I'd always maintained, which is something that staunchly I think Restore voters have been against, is there would be an inception or there would be a recruitment of Conservative MPs, provided they align with Reform UK policy. I think Braverman, Kruger, Jenrick, Anderson, we could all say they fundamentally align with the policy that Reform have got, if people have actually bothered to read it. I do think that Reform's immigration policy is very, very similar to Restore Britain's. I think when we're talking politically, is the death penalty that important? Is the ban of halal and kosher meat that important? When we're talking about subjects like net zero, national security, education, technology, the economy, we have to look at the bigger picture here. And I think the question has to be is, what do Restore actually bring to the table with regard to their candidates, with regard to where they sit in constituencies, with regard to how much are they putting on the table, and what have Reform got to, accept, and what are they giving? Because as much as people want to say Restore have, and I will not deny this, they have made a political explosion. Let's not beat about the bush with that one. They exploded on the scene, got a massive member base very quickly. Their social media went through the roof. I think I'd maintained for the longest period of time that would not necessarily translate into electoral voting, because politics is very different to social media. I think we can all agree on that. And I think that's being demonstrated. And I go back to my original point, where I think maybe they're getting to a point where they're not necessarily getting I don't know what their funding situation is, but it's starting to cost them money. They're starting to front people up, and they're not really making the gains I think they wanted to. I think they're starting to, and trust me, I fully endorse the unite of the right, the unification of the right, because it's something I've maintained since 2022 on social media. I picked Reform as my flag, and I wanted people to unite under that banner against this establishment, and particularly a Labour government.
This is the thing, Bruce, and I'll put this back over to you, Lee, because this is the thing. If Reform and Restore did a pact together, could that alienate the Tories? Because actually what is likely to happen, if we're looking at the landscape of things, let's assume there might be a snap general election, which I think is coming sooner rather than then later, essentially what you'd need at this point in time would be a hung parliament. You'd need Reform and the Tories to work together. Could it show some weakness if Reform are willing to do a pact now with a much smaller party?
It depends on how they deliver that. I think prior to the election, I think most parties, we're all quite used to this, watching politics over the years. They're not going to openly say they're going to do any deals way before an election. They're going to rightly, try and keep their voter base and not sort of show weakness too early before an election. I think each party, what I want to see, and I think this is the biggest point that's come out of today, is pragmatism. And I think we have seen a little bit of pragmatism from both Rupert Lowe and Nigel Farage today. That's, for me, is the biggest takeaway from today. And you look at the red lines, going back to the red lines that you were talking about earlier, there are no red lines in politics. I mean, I cringed at a couple of those red lines myself. I kind of imagine Nigel Farage reading them and thinking, but look, if I'm going to go into a negotiation, I run my own business. I know you're familiar with this, Alex, as well. If you're going to go into negotiation, you start at your red lines and then you talk afterwards. And I think what we've seen today is the hope that I had all along, because I think, if you would ask me this question 48 hours ago, do I think that Restore would ever work with Reform? Do I think that Reform may well, need the help of the Tories? Would that work? All of that was very cloudy in my head, and quite depressingly, I did not think that it was ever going to work between Rupert and Nigel. I think that's changed today. Whether that was Rupert's intention or not, we have seen Restore voters and Restore supporters on X talking about working with Reform. This is such a massive step. I'm trying to be optimistic about this.
Yeah, no, I respect it.
Can I interject there, Lee? Because I think that narrative has existed for the longest period of time. A lot of the people that follow me who support Restore still have always maintained that they would vote for who they thought was going to win. So I think that amongst the largest part of Restore's voter base, they already kind of understand that, we've got to do the thing that's right for the country, and that sometimes might be saying, look, I'm going to swallow my pride a little bit and put an X in a box. Even though I still support Restore Britain, I'll do what needs to be done for the betterment of the country.
What I would say back to that, it's not in disagreement in any way, but it's, if you think about what Reform could. Oh, no, I got it right the first time. If you think about what Restore could do, even though we know that they're not going to be capable of winning an election, what we do know is they are going to be capable of, let's just say they were still head-to-head, they're still arguing and there was still some nastiness between them, is they could very well put a thorn in the side of Reform when doing, local elections or by-elections. They could deliberately go in there and cause trouble. Now, what we've seen today could potentially mean that we see less of that, and we see more, potentially standing aside where necessary. We don't know how this is going to play out yet. All I want, as someone who's going to support, the right, is I want a solid right-wing vote to make sure that we do not end up with either a Labour Party or a coalition from hell on the left, which will bring in even more extreme leftism, and we absolutely don't want that.
All right, gents, thank you very much, both of you, for your candid thoughts on this. Well, developing story at the moment, frankly. Bruce, Lee, superstars, both of you, thanks for joining me tonight. Really do appreciate it. Look, before we get to a break, I want to make sure you get your tickets to join us for a day to celebrate Britain. I'll be in Aberdeen, funnily enough. Take a look at this.
Here at GB News, we made a promise to tell your stories.
And on the 6th of August, we're marking 5 years of doing exactly that.
Celebrate with us by having your say. Join in the debates live on TV and radio.
And meeting your favourite presenters across the country, from Leeds to Aberdeen, from Belfast to Barry Island.
Plus, join me in Essex for our biggest live show of the year. Scan the QR code or visit gbnews.com/celebrate. Terms and conditions apply.
All right, look, don't miss out on that opportunity. Just a few hours remaining to grab your ticket. I will be up in Aberdeen. I know other presenters are going to be across the country, so hopefully someone near you as well. And a lot of us will be, of course, there in Essex. Scan that QR code there or go to gbnews.com/celebrate. All right, coming up on the show.
Agreed remedies would be to complete an online thinking skills course. Second one is to complete an online impact.
thinking courses. Can you believe it? Over a social media post. Stay tuned for that because I've got the victim of that here. She's with me. But before that, have you heard of the story of a Shakespeare hero who falls for a Muslim man named Muhammad at a rave in Croydon? It's going to be a banger, this one. Stay tuned.
I hope we haven't forgotten anything.
Travel insurance, I tick that box.
Yeah, but remember what you forgot last year.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hi there. The hot, sunny and dry theme continues across most of the Mediterranean through the next few days. There will be a few isolated thunderstorms, particularly for Portugal on Monday, but elsewhere across the Mediterranean, barely a cloud in the sky for many coastal regions, and it will feel very hot in that strong August sunshine. Temperatures comfortably into the 30s and approaching 40 degrees Celsius in the hottest spots. The outlook for the rest of the week, well, generally the settled sunny theme continues with temperatures once again in the high 30s for some.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Good evening and welcome to your latest GB News weather update from the Met Office. Well, the heat and humidity is set to build quite quickly as we move into Monday. A very hot day is on the cards across the southeast, but there will be some rain or showers courtesy of this area of low pressure for some, mainly in the north and the west, but we might just see one or two heavy showers sparked by this heat and humidity that's drifting in from continental Europe. That process is already underway this evening, so whilst it's a fine end to the day for many, we do see thicker cloud out towards the west, and you'll notice we could see some spots of light rain across parts of Northern Ireland, and the rain blossoming somewhat as we go through the early hours of Monday morning across central and southern Scotland. Here it won't be a particularly warm night, but across England and Wales it will turn increasingly humid with lows perhaps not falling much below 17 or 18 degrees Celsius in some of our larger urban areas in the south. Now, after that warm and humid night, it will quickly turn pretty hot as we go into Monday. The strong August sunshine really quickly lifting those temperatures. A damp start across parts of Northern Ireland, but the most persistent rain probably at this point across more central parts of Scotland. So a pretty wet commute to work across the central belt of Scotland, for example. Still a bit of brightness perhaps across the very far north of Scotland, but an increasing chance of showers or longer spells of rain here as we go through the day. So the rain becomes a bit more confined to northern Scotland, but there will be showers breaking out across Northern Ireland and southern Scotland too, and possibly one or two isolated ones across England and Wales, but these vary hit and miss. Most places staying dry, and it will be a sunny and hot day, particularly in the east of England. Temperatures perhaps approaching the mid-30s for some, so oppressively hot and humid, not comfortable at all. A few scattered showers of thunderstorms overnight and into Tuesday, possibly even in the southeast of England, but for most, Tuesday will be a cloudier and slightly cooler day, a greater chance of catching a shower, and some longer spells of rain across the north of Scotland where it will be quite windy. Through Wednesday, again a changeable day with sunny spells and scattered showers, temperatures trending downwards as we go through the week, returning to average.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
I've been in Westminster for a long time, but I know that though power may be here, its effect on people's lives is across the whole of the country. We may be where rules are made, but it's where they're implemented that matters. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for forthright and frank discussion on where Britain has come from, where it's going, and where it will end up. That's State of the Nation, Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Vox Populi, Vox Dei.
Right, this is crazy. This is crazy, this one. The Arts Council has been accused of an appalling waste of taxpayers' money for funding woke projects at a time when traditional museums are being forced to close due to a lack of funds. So what have we got then, eh? He gave £100,000 to the Migration Matters Festival in Sheffield in June, which featured a flag-making workshop exploring identity, protest and belonging. Not too bad, but still quite woke. Anyway, just under £30,000 was also given to the UK's only queer pan-Asian cabaret collective. I'm going to repeat that. the UK's only queer pan-Asian cabaret collective. Its shows have featured puppets, whips and a poppadom eating contest. Cultural enrichment for you. And what about £32,000 for Refugee, a theatre production in which characters uncover evidence of the government's complicity in war crimes? Good to know the government are funding that, eh?
I'm going to go and watch that one.
That's great. There you go. We've sold one ticket. Let's not forget another 30 grand for a gay retelling of Romeo and Juliet, in which Shakespeare's hero falls for a Muslim man named Muhammad at a rave in Croydon. Promotional material for this show describes it as a feral, sexy and unafraid to ask difficult questions.
I'm not watching that.
I'm going to send you to that one, Adam. Unlike anything else currently on London stages, that you can be guaranteed of. I've got my panel back in the room here. I mean, Adam, I'll just start with you because this bonkers stuff. What are we funding this stuff for?
What is going on in this country? I mean, can I just say one thing? Who do we think that the people that come up with this vote for?
Yeah.
Because I'm going to put my house on that it's Labour and the Green Party. What are these people on? Look, if we're not indoctrinating kids, we're indoctrinating people that go to these shows. I just don't understand why we need to change all this. What message are they trying to send? I mean, the one with Mohammed there, that's going to upset a certain community. Yeah. What are they doing? I just don't understand it. Look,
Romeo Mohammed there is being dubbed.
I'm definitely not watching that one.
I am sending Adam as a social experiment. Barry, what do you... Look, the thing is, I think what people feel is that if it's art, it should be able to survive on its own, and if it's a hit, it's a hit, and if it's not, it shouldn't go
Alex,
on.
I have 3 words for you. Sir Edmund Tilney.
OK, go on, take it away.
Never forget that Shakespeare himself was repeatedly closed down for sedition and you know, art has always been controversial. And, you know, you can say, well, some of this looks, you know, what was the Asian...
Pan-Asian collective cabaret.
Yeah, but listen...
Featuring poppadoms and puppets
We would never
and
have
whips.
had My Beautiful Laundrette. We'd never have had La Cage aux Folles if you'd simply gone along with the mores of the day. These were innovative and risky in their day because they actually exposed gay relationships. Now, you know, hey, some of the presenters on your show are gay and nobody bats an eyelid, you know.
But I think the point isn't that, you know, art shouldn't be, you know, creative and innovative. It's that the taxpayer should not be funding this sort of stuff. And actually, it's all these quangos, and there are so many of them that fund some nonsense research project. You know, the UK RI funded £200,000 into a research paper that was called How the Star Wars, the film, can help solve climate change. And, you know, another £600,000 was spent on, you know, research into pregnant men, an oxymoron. So, you know, it's that sort of stuff.
I'm not trying to justify any individual project, right?
Well, there's a lot of them.
Barry, would you go and watch these? Would you go and see these? Is it something that tickles your fancy?
I doubt it, quite frankly. I mean, the Asian cabaret. I mean, I've been to...
It's Pan-Asian, Barry. Get it right. You're not being woken up. It's Pan-Asian collective.
I mean, I went to the Kit Kat Club and saw Cabaret when it was on here. Cabaret is one of my favourite films. What does it deal with? It deals with gay sex, Nazism, and you know, the mores of the...
But this one's got poppadoms, whips and puppets.
Well,
it's not quite the same edginess.
No. Sorry, I hadn't realised.
I don't know if there's audience participation included.
Are they topics that interest you, Barry?
The poppadoms I'm fine with, right?
Oh,
Whips and puppets, no thanks. The only whip I know is the whip.
I don't want to know about your private life, Barry. Okay. I don't want to know about your private life.
All right. I think this is it, Ellie. I think. Listen, I think Barry's right to say art should exist, and I am not saying I'm pro free speech. I think all art. If people want to create art, go for it, right? Go for it. I just don't want taxpayer money going on.
I know, and we're in such a huge deficit. Tax burdens are the highest in 70 years. You know, there's so many reasons why we shouldn't be funding some nonsense like this. And by the way, I do just want to see traditional Romeo and Juliet.
Can I just use a line of the left? Can you imagine how many nurses that would fund?
Oh, there you go.
Well, let's throw it back at them, you know?
All right, OK, there you have it. Well, an Arts Council England spokesman said this. We support a wide range of artists and organisations to produce work network that caters to the broad interests, tastes and voices and experiences of people across the country. Projects can often explore different issues through their work, including social and political subjects. There you have it. Right, look, coming up in just, 15 minutes' time, a broadcast exclusive here. Police showed up at a woman's house after she posted online and demanded she take this thinking course or face further action. It's like a re-education camp. I don't know what that's all about, but we're going to find out in 15 minutes. But next, ministers have been accused of launching a stealth clawback of military pensions. We'll talk about that shortly.
This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
Well, Charlie, as most of the viewers know, I would be involved in agriculture. This isn't quite agriculture. It's quite close to it, the cousins of. A lot of things that go on in agriculture are on display here. Thousands of people coming to this site, Ragley Hall, just about 45 minutes out of Birmingham.
We are the modern ruralists, and here today we have the craft yard. We've got 9 different crafts, all demonstrating what they're up to. Here we have the wheelwrights, and they're bonding a wheel here. So this is an ancient craft that's been going for about. Barney Murray's a bit of a legend, quite frankly. He's the national champion, master dry stone waller, comes from North Wales, and he's a bit of a Thor lookalike. So he's quite popular.
GB News, the People's Channel. GB News Breakfast, every day from 6 a.m.
Now, at 16 minutes past 8, the annual bike ride from Yorkshire to London is taking place today, aiming to honour the legacy of the Batley and Spen Labour MP Joe Cox, who was murdered by a far-right terrorist in June of 2016.
Well, the bike ride aims to champion a cause she was passionate about, as this year marks the 10th anniversary of her tragic death.
Kim, if we can just start with you, what is your sister's legacy?
Well, there's so much that we've got to be proud of that's been done in Joe's name. It's just been 10 years since she was murdered, and what has kept us going as a family has been the way that so many amazing people, including people like this amazing man, have done things in Joe's name to show what our country is really about. And you've got all these amazing people today from all different backgrounds, all walks of life, celebrating the things that we have in common, not agreeing on everything.
GB News, the People's Channel. Good afternoon, Britain. Weekdays from midday.
It's a difficult question. Honestly, I don't think I would at this rate, because I think the government tracks, when we say we're fighting for Britain, what are we actually fighting for? The concept of Britain, I don't think exists anymore. When I look at Britain, when I go outside, it doesn't seem to be very British. And I think the core demographic of the people who would normally fight, these white working class boys who, have been fighting for Britain, who we expect just to sacrifice their life in a fight, they've been demonised for decades and decades by the government, by our education system, by the media. Economically, they've been disadvantaged. So why would we expect them to risk their lives when we've demonised them for so long and took them for granted for so long? And this concept of Britain fighting for the British government, the British government has betrayed us.
GB News, the People's Channel.
All right, well, ministers have been accused of launching a stealth clawback of military pensions, leaving veterans who claim benefits thousands of pounds worse off. And officials at the Department for Work and Pensions have informed veterans that their military pension is considered unearned income and will therefore result in a pound-for-pound reduction in benefits. Well, to tell us more about this, and joining me now is founder and director of the Armed Forces and Veterans Breakfast Clubs Network, Derek Hardman. Derek, thanks so much for joining me this morning. I mean, this evening, indeed. Sorry, should I say? Get my shows mixed up sometimes. But Derek, look, I mean, I have veterans in my immediate family. I know they feel like the government really doesn't do enough for them, and that's not just this government, successive governments. This will be just like another part of that feeling that veterans are coming under attack.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just yet another betrayal, for them to turn around and say that's unearned income. I mean, during the Cold War in Germany, every time I went out to my car, I had to lie down on the floor and look underneath it to make sure there wasn't an IRA bomb under there. We had an exercise called Active Edge in Germany, which was the call out for World War III. And you never knew whether it was real or not when you got called out at 3 o'clock in the morning on a Monday morning, and you're getting into an armoured personnel carrier full of mines and ammunition, and you're off to World War III, to all intents and purposes. I would pretty much say that we earn that pension. You know, tours of duty, Afghanistan, Iraq, you know, we're putting ourselves in harm's way, walking around with our targets on our back effectively, and how can you say that that's not earned income?
So what's the claim here, Derek? How are they managing to charge you with this unearned income charge? Well, I guess that's what DWP is putting to you.
Yeah, basically, the bit that I've been able to read since I was informed of this is they're saying that it's money coming into the household that we didn't earn. It's almost like being paid a grant or something that isn't taxed or isn't that nobody's earned. In other words, it's like if you was getting an income from your parents or something like that, and they're saying because you're getting that advantage of a pension, a military pension, then any benefits that you earn, they're gonna deduct the benefits from that.
Right, I've got you. Why don't we bring in Barry Gardner, who's here? He's a Labour MP. Barry, do you want to say something?
Yeah, look, Derek, I'm really concerned about what you're saying. You're absolutely right. Pensions are wages deferred. That's all they are. They are earned, of course they are. And that's a principle in law, that they are wages deferred. What I wonder is going on here, and I really don't know the details of this, so I'd be interested in your take on it, is whether within the universal credit system there's a distinction between PIP, which is the personal support, which should not be affected by this. But other elements of universal credit are affected by any pension that you have, any income that you have, and whether they're applying this to other benefits that people receive. But this is certainly something I would want to check and look into and find out exactly what's going on, both from the Ministry of Defence and from the Department for Work and Pensions. But if they're simply treating this pension as they would any other pension income, then I understand what's going on, but they certainly shouldn't be doing it with PIP, because that is to make up to those people and give them the personal independence that they need.
Barry, let's just hear from Derek, because we're running out of time. Go on, Derek.
Well, I'd like to know more myself. I've not been able to find out too many details about this and whether that is the case or not. And I quite understand what the MP is saying about it should be regarded as income like anybody else. But Armed Forces Covenant says that we should be...
Derek, what I'm going to do is I'm going to work with Barry on this, and we're going to get you back on the show in a few weeks' time and see where we can get some answers out of the government for you. How about that?
Yeah, Alex, that would be brilliant.
Derek, I'm sorry I have to kind of leave it there,
more as well.
That would be fantastic. Thank you so much, Derek. Really do appreciate it. And of course, the government is saying they have full respect for everyone serving. And of course, we'll read out that right of reply shortly. Here's the weather.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Good evening and welcome to your latest GB News weather update from the Met Office. Well, the heat and humidity is set to build quite quickly as we move into Monday. A very hot day is on the cards across the southeast, but there will be some rain or showers courtesy of this area of low pressure for some, mainly in the north and the west, but we might just see one or two heavy showers sparked by this heat and humidity that's drifting in from continental Europe. That process is already underway this evening, so whilst it's a fine end to the day for many, we do see thicker cloud out towards the west, and you'll notice we could see some spots of light rain across parts of Northern Ireland, and the rain blossoming somewhat as we go through the early hours of Monday morning across central and southern Scotland. Here it won't be a particularly warm night, but across England and Wales it will turn increasingly humid, with lows perhaps not falling much below 17 or 18 degrees Celsius in some of our larger urban areas in the south. Now, after that warm and humid night, it will quickly turn pretty hot as we go into Monday. The strong August sunshine really quickly lifting those temperatures. A damp start across parts of Northern Ireland, but the most persistent rain probably at this point across more central parts of Scotland. So a pretty wet commute to work across the central belt of Scotland, for example. Still a bit of brightness perhaps across the very far north of Scotland, but an increasing chance of showers or longer spells of rain here as we go through the day. So the rain becomes a bit more confined to northern Scotland, but there will be showers breaking out across Northern Ireland and southern Scotland too, and possibly one or two isolated ones across England and Wales, but these vary hit and miss, most places staying dry, and it will be a sunny and hot day, particularly in the east of England, temperatures perhaps approaching the mid-30s for some, so oppressively hot and humid, not comfortable at all. A few scattered showers and thunderstorms overnight and into Tuesday, possibly even in the southeast of England, but for most, Tuesday will be a cloudier and slightly cooler day, a greater chance of catching a shower and some longer spells of rain across the north of Scotland where it will be quite windy. Through Wednesday, again a changeable day with sunny spells and scattered showers, temperatures trending downwards as we go through the week, returning to average.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
We're celebrating a golden summer with your chance to win a real gold bar. That's right, a fine gold bullion bar worth over £5,000 could be yours. We're also going to make sure your finances are fabulous with £60,000 in tax-free cash. For a chance to win, text GOLD to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entry start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB22 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 21st of August. This is a network giveaway. Entries will be pulled. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Britain is not just a geographical expression. We are a people bound together by history and culture that are distinctively British. Join me to celebrate our music, theatre, artworks and literature which we can explore and enjoy together.
Everybody's welcome.
Sunday with Michael Portillo. Every Sunday at 11 a.m. on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave. I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
From cold mornings
to warm family brunches,
from football to tennis in the car,
in the kitchen.
GB News Breakfast is there with the stories you need and the conversations that matter.
Anyway, let's talk business.
Well, it has been a historic night in British politics.
It's astonishing, isn't it?
We're here again
to start your day just right. GB News Breakfast.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
5 hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates,
5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday 5.
You got me good there.
Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show.
It's not a bad brand.
Yeah. Uncensored.
Very, very racy tonight on the
unpredictable.
What did she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace
Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News, the People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
Good evening, it's 10 o'clock. I'm Alex Armstrong. Tonight,
agreed remedies would be to complete an online thinking skills course. Second one is to complete an online impact.
this is totally insane. Police showed up at a woman's house after she posted online and demanded she take a thinking course or face further action. Well, Annika Svenska, the victim, joins me tonight to reveal this shocking attack on free speech. Also,
You're facilitating illegal immigration, madam. Are you aware this is a criminal offence? It's a criminal offence.
French charity workers have seemingly been exposed for aiding and abetting illegal migrants as they break into Britain. We've exposed all on the show. And
Rupert was elected as a Reform UK MP under Nigel's leadership. So clearly there's common ground on lots of issues.
Right, big shock of the day. Rupert Lowe, the leader of Restore Britain, has offered negotiations with Reform UK. Some people think it's going to unite the right, but others are more suspicious. And breaking in the last hour, Reform UK wants to launch the largest military operation in the English Channel since World War II. That is to stop the small boat arrivals from France. A Nigel Farage-led government would send the Royal Navy into the Channel to intercept all migrant boats there and then return them back to France or Belgium under a plan called Operation Fortress. We're going to get into all the policy details and have the Labour response to it also. Also, joining me tonight, Labour MP for Brent West, Barry Gardner MP, businessman and activist Adam Brooks, and journalist and commentator Ellie Wheatley. And this might burst your eardrums, so just trigger warning.
All the rappers we watched were so gallantly streaming.
This isn't a threat, but I am going to play the full clip for you at some point this evening. Listen, news you don't see anywhere else on this show, but first we're going to get your news headlines with Bethany Elsey.
Good evening, your 10 o'clock news from the GB newsroom. The Prime Minister has vowed to be relentless in tackling the number of migrants crossing the English Channel. It's as more than 2,000 have made the journey in small boats since Andy Burnham entered number 10. The total for the year so far is more than 40% lower than the same period last year. But the Prime Minister says there's still a lot more to do.
We're just going to be relentless. People want to see this issue addressed. I heard that on the doorsteps in Makerfield. But we also need to build a system that offers safe routes for people as well, because that also takes away the selling point of the gangs. So on every level, we've got to come at this, but crucially, increasing the enforcement activity. So there's been a doubling of enforcement officers through the National Crime Agency.
2 helicopters have collided mid-air in Greece while helping to tackle severe wildfires. 2 people on board one helicopter, a Danish and a Greek national, died in the crash, while a Greek and a British national were pulled from the other aircraft alive. More than 100 homes northwest of Athens have been destroyed, with surrounding villages being evacuated. Meanwhile, officials in Kefalonia say the region is facing a critical night as crews battle to bring wildfires there under control. A 26-year-old man has been arrested following the death of a Scottish woman whose body was found inside a suitcase in Greece. 38-year-old Elizabeth Jane Ross was found by a homeless man in a derelict building in Athens last month. She's believed to have died between 5 and 7 days before she was found, and it's understood the suspect used her phone and accessed her bank account in that time. Officials in Russia say an explosion outside a restaurant near the centre of Moscow was a brutal act of terrorism. 3 people were killed and at least 20 others injured when the homemade bomb was detonated. There are unconfirmed reports that a Russian military commander may have been the intended target but was unharmed. And Ariana Grande has pulled out of an upcoming musical in London as she takes a step back from public-facing work. The pop singer was due to appear opposite her Wicked co-star Jonathan Bailey in a new production of Stephen Sondheim's critically acclaimed Sunday in the Park with George at the Barbican next year. In a statement, her team says she's taking a much-deserved break from so-called endless public scrutiny. Those are your latest headlines. Let's get back to Alex.
Tune in to GB News Radio wherever you are. Online, on DAB Digital Radio, on TuneIn, on Radio Player, on Nation Player and on your smart speaker. Just say, play GB News.
The story is nuts. Police showed up to an activist's front door and said further action could be taken if she didn't accept online thinking courses, all because of a social media post, and I'm not joking. Take a watch.
Received a complaint from a member of the public or a business saying that they believe some false allegations have been made online. So they've asked us to just come and have a chat with you today and see whether or not you would accept what we call community resolution.
What is that?
CR. So all it is, it's a piece of paper here. And it's got some conditions on it, essentially. Would sign it, and then it would just go on record to say that you've agreed those conditions and moving forward, basically. For yourself, if you were to say, yes, I posted this, and if the information's correct, then I'm sorry, or incorrect, sorry, then I apologise. I'll accept the community resolution. The agreed remedies would be to complete an online thinking skills course. Second one is to complete an online impact. Completely up to you.
It's your decision.
We're coming to you with this information.
Okay.
The lowest form of which we can deal with any offence that's been alleged and that has obviously been proven with potentially the online evidence, stating that they're stating the information is incorrect. Okay, that's what we're going off of at the moment, and they're saying that information passed on your platform could lead to, have a harmful impact on their business. If you so wish not to partake in it, that is up to you. Mm-hmm. And then we would hand the investigation back to their team and they can decide how they wish to proceed with it, which might be nothing or it might be something else, but I couldn't tell you because I'm not the lead investigator.
That is what hit Annika Svenska, an Animal Watch presenter and activist, at her front door. 2 officers arrived after a business complained about her Instagram reel and offered her re-education. That's what I'm calling it. I'm not blaming the officers here. This isn't their fault, by the way. It's the fault of these insane laws and police authorities that indulge in this stuff. According to the Free Speech Union, who are monitoring this case, this is linked to Section 179 of the Online Safety Act. That law was passed by the last Conservative government. It makes it a crime up to 51 weeks in prison to send a message you know is false with the intent to cause non-trivial harm and no reasonable excuse. Annika, of course, vehemently denies that claim. The police offered her a community resolution, as you've just heard, that would go on record and she would have had to complete an online... I can't believe this. An online thinking skills course and an impact assessment. Let me repeat that. A thinking skills course. Annika, well, she refused, didn't she? She got a lawyer. After the evidence behind the social media post was explained, Cambridgeshire Police decided to drop the case and take no further action. Annika is with me now. Annika.
Hello.
I mean, gobsmacking stuff. We've all just watched that. All the panel here in the room have watched it too. Just give us some colour. Just tell us what went on in your head at the moment in time you opened that door.
Well, I saw them there and I opened the gate, and then when they started talking, I was just flabbergasted. I couldn't even believe it because I'm so squeaky clean, I'm like super squeaky clean. And then you've got 2 coppers standing there on the doorstep, and then as they started talking, both of them acted like they didn't want to be there. You could see that on the look on their faces, they felt almost embarrassed for the information that they were saying to me. And they were bringing up a reel that I'd put online about a certain place in Huntingdon, Cambridgeshire, that breeds beagles, and a document that's in the public arena. So this document to do with incineration had been passed around for about a week prior to me getting hold of it. And I thought, well, I need to do something on this reel. And being a presenter, I get my facts right.
Yes.
So I've got this Stericycle receipt in front of me. I've got 224 kilograms of hazardous animal anatomical waste written on it. And then I make a reel, word for word, for what is on this receipt. And then the actual police come round and they say that I'm sending false communication. For a start, it's not false communication because I've got evidence with intent to cause harm. No, it's in the public interest.
There you go.
Everything is in the public interest that I do.
And you've got this knock on the door by two police, and I've seen the face of these officers. They clearly didn't want to be there. I'm not speaking on their behalf, but that was my interpretation of it. And you're just left with this limbo. You refused to sign this piece of paper they were wanting you to sign and do this thinking course. What did you make of all of it? You were here?
Well, basically, I knew something was fishy. That's why I said I'm going to get my phone, because I thought, I'm going to film this because this is going to be good. And, the moment I got my phone out, they got even shiftier.
Well, I don't blame them,
and they look quite young, bless them. I actually don't think it's their fault at all. It seems to be sort of, you have to go and deliver this message, and then they looked really awkward. The guy on the left actually was nodding when I said, are you an animal lover? And he was like this. It was like, it's almost like a pantomime, to be quite honest. But yeah, I think it just raises very worrying issues, because we're living in times I'm not happy about it. I never do anything wrong. I mean, like, you know, the people on the internet wildly posting everything about what they think and feel, and lots of accusations flying around, and mine is based in facts, yet I feel this is a tactic that is being used, almost it's being weaponised by certain companies to scare people into submission and to silence them. And I'm not going to be silenced because, for a start, I haven't done anything wrong. So even if this was to go to court, it gets thrown out because I haven't done anything wrong.
Well, and the police did throw it out in the end, didn't they?
Yeah.
But what were you feeling in those couple of weeks that this was going on? This was being investigated, wasn't it? Because you refused to sign that piece of paper.
Yes. Well, I immediately got legal advice, and the lawyer just almost laughed at it when she read it, and she went, this is ridiculous. This is literally just this will just get thrown out. So we just got our evidence together, which was the documentation that the reel was off, put it in a letter to Cambridgeshire Police, and literally after pressing send, 10 minutes later there was a reply saying, oh, we've dropped all the charges. But yeah, people are like saying to me, were you stressed? Well, no, because I didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah.
I think I'm more worried, and I tell you what really bothers me is they've sort of got it wrong when they sent the police to my door, because they've gone and got the wrong person. But how many other people are they turning up on the doorstep, intimidating people that aren't as strong as me and actually genuinely frightened, signing these that are going to be searchable for the rest of their life?
Absolutely.
Not on mains, you know, you have to really deep dive to sort of find it, but they just want it to go away. So they sign something just to make it go away, even if they're not guilty. So I would say everyone must get legal advice. If anything like this turns up on their doorstep, don't sign anything. Don't be scared. I mean, like, online courses, I felt like a 5-year-old.
I mean, obviously the whole thing is crazy, but when I heard thinking courses online, I was like, what is this? Is this George Orwell just right? Are we living in his simulation at this point?
I know.
It's 1984, but look, we've got an MP here, Barry, right? You're one of the people who writes and debates these silly, stupid laws. How on earth has Britain got to a point where this sort of stuff is happening and being passed into law?
Well, look, two things. The first thing is, you know, there used to be a really old-fashioned way of dealing with things like this. If you had got your facts wrong, they could have sued you. They could have proven that it had harmed their organisation, they could have claimed damages against you, and that would have been the old-fashioned, sensible way of doing it, because they would have had to have proven their case in a court of law. But what that legislation that the Tories brought in did was it changed that balance of power, because it now puts the onus on you. Somebody turns up at your door and says, well, you've said something that somebody else has taken offence to, and you now need to go on a thinking course to sort yourself out, and you need to write down that you've been guilty of doing this. Can I just ask, did they actually prefer charges against you? You said they dropped the charges.
No,
did they actually did they say, we are charging you with this offence?
No.
So they didn't actually ever charge you?
No, they said, we've got an allegation. And they said, and they're like, oh, but if you sign this, it's all going to go away.
You see,
let me just, because we haven't got loads of time tonight, and I want to get I will come back to you, Barry. I will do. But let me put this to you, Adam, because, of course, this is the lowest, I think the police that they dealt with, this is the lowest seriousness possible, based on the lowest form of offence, right? This is the lowest way they can deal with it, at least anyway. I don't blame the officers in all of this either. But the point I'm trying to make here, and this is that Annika is absolutely right when she says, Annika actually extremely well presented. You know, you had your facts together, you were organised. But we've seen cases where the police have gone in, looked at someone's books, think it was a bit Brexity, I think was one of the cases like that last year that we were talking about. And we were sort of hoping that this might go away, but it seems to still exist in new forms.
It's scary, especially I'm an online commentator. How I haven't had my door knocked on yet, I don't know. Maybe because I've got
what you wish for.
Maybe because I've got big gates. But look, first of all, I just want to say the work you do to try and save animals is amazing. I'm a dog lover, so I don't think anyone should test animals at all, especially dogs. It makes me sick. So I praise you in what you do there. But again, with these police, it's not the officers. They're being sent there to do a job. If they were embarrassed, they should be. It's these woke authorities higher up in the police that need to sit round the table and go, we're not doing that anymore. We're not listening to that. We refuse to do it because it's making a mockery of the police. The time they came to see you was someone getting mugged in the high street or whatever. We need to start tackling real crime. And look, fault police. If they turned up at my house and said, will you sign something because of, you know, someone's been offended, I'd laugh at them. I'd absolutely burst out laughing because it's like we're living in China. And Elon Musk says things like this. If Elon Musk gets a look at this case, he will put it everywhere because it's yet another embarrassment for our police.
This is the thing, isn't it? And we've seen the case of Graham Linehan over the last year. He was arrested for making jokes online. I know there was a bit of back and forth as to what had gone on there. But it does very much feel like, and actually we get laughed at by some of our neighbours and the Americans laugh at us. They actually use it. When I speak to some of my friends over there, they look at some of these cases and they go, what is going on in Britain?
But this is slightly different to the non-crime hate incident, which I think now the Met has stopped arresting people on, which is great, and that was sort of last year's win. But this is a sort of loophole that the online safety bill has given to companies that basically want to protect their brand, and as a result, it's obviously cheaper, much easier than any defamation lawsuit. So of course companies are going to use this, and as a result, there will be in the future, I'm sure, lots of cover-ups where things are actually really going on.
But Ellie, can I put this to you? Because you're a policy girl, right? You love a bit of policy. And I looked at this Online Safety Act when it was coming out. I was gobsmacked by the sort of stuff that's in there because it was sold by the Tories as this sort of thing to keep kids on safe online. But then you're seeing cases like Annika's, and you think, how on earth is that a part of this policy?
Well, totally. And by the way, there was a load of warnings about this bill years before, and obviously there was a Tory bill, and then I think it was passed under the Labour. Obviously, it's going to lead to a very slippery slope of, you know, shutting down debate, covering things up. People use it, companies can use it, politicians can use it, you know, other people can use it. It's a terrible, terrible, terrible bill.
It is.
And it should absolutely be scrapped. And ironically, actually, Reforms say they'll scrap it, but of course Nadine Dorries was the one that wrote it.
Well, I did actually speak to one of the Secretaries of State, I won't mention who it was, who also co-wrote the bill, and I asked her what a VPN was, and she couldn't answer that question multiple times. And I said, well, how on earth are you writing policies? But Barry, this is what I was going back to originally, because when we ask you lot to write policies for us and to scrutinise them, and this sort of stuff shouldn't be an Online Safety Act part, should it? It should be part of that.
Well, this is a totally separate thing. But I just wonder whether this is the way in which the police, by doing stuff like this, you say the woke higher-ups, Adam says, I wonder whether the higher-ups are not actually that woke and are actually quite smart. And what they're doing is they're getting their officers to go out into these ludicrous situations, almost hoping that it will come to public attention so that it puts pressure on us as politicians to get the legislation right. I mean, you've got to ask yourself, why are they arresting, 80-year-old former Holocaust survivors for sitting silently with placards?
Because they're backing a group that's a terrorist organisation that broke the back of someone and attacked security.
You can make that argument, Adam, but when you say they could be spending all that time that they're doing that, arresting literally hundreds of people who nobody believes are actually going to be themselves committing a criminal offence.
I just got to, because we've got to wrap it. I want to give the final word to Annika on this. Annika, and thank goodness this has all been sorted for you. I'm so happy for you that it has been and dealt with quickly, because you've been fantastic with it. What advice would you give to people watching at home, and what would you like to see happen as a result of you putting a spotlight on this?
Advice I'd like to give to people is, if police turn up on your doorstep, do not sign something, do not panic. Go and get legal advice immediately, because there's a good chance you don't need to sign this at all. It's absolute rubbish. And a lawyer will take one look at it, and whatever you have posted, if you've posted something, and they'll be able to advise you of your next move. Just don't panic and sign something. I think that is the most important thing.
Great. Thank you so much, Annika, and thank you for bringing this story to us. And I'm glad we can put a spotlight on it, and I know our audience will be absolutely horrified hearing this. So thank you very much, Annika, for joining us tonight. A Sussex police spokesperson told GB News that officers attended a local address at the request of Cambridgeshire Constabulary to speak with the occupant. They added that it is a usual procedure for one police force to make requests of other forces where a personal visit is required. The originating force always retains their investigation. GB News also contacted Cambridgeshire Constabulary, who clarified they won't be providing a comment at this time.
They wouldn't.
Time now for the Great British Giveaway. 60 grand in tax. Stop getting me in trouble, you. 60 grand in tax-free cash and a gold bar worth 5 grand. Here's all the details.
We're celebrating a golden summer with a terrific two-part Great British Giveaway. First, you could win a sensational £60,000 in tax-free cash to spend however you like this year. What would you do with that? And that's not all, as you'll also win our most precious prize to date, a fine gold bar worth over £5,000. It's pure gold to own, trade or gift to a loved one and secure their financial future. So make sure you don't miss your chance to bank over £65,000 worth of prizes in our Golden Summer celebration. For a chance to win £60,000 in tax-free cash and a real gold bar, text GOLD to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entry starts at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB22 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrants must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 21st of August. This is a network giveaway. Entries will be pooled. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
All right, coming up next, breaking news in the last couple of hours. Reform UK wants to launch the largest military operation in the English Channel since World War II. That's to stop small boat arrivals from France, and we're going to talk about that next.
Here at GB News, we made a promise to tell your stories. And on the 6th of August, we're marking 5 years of doing exactly that.
Celebrate with us by having your say. Join in the debates live on TV and radio.
And meeting your favourite presenters across the country, from Leeds to Aberdeen, from Belfast to Barry Island.
Plus, join me in Essex for our biggest live show of the year. Scan the QR code or visit gbnews.com/celebrate. Terms and conditions apply.
Some people enjoy lazy Sunday mornings, but not me.
What's the truth of the matter?
So that's a very live question.
Would you support him if he waters down these plans?
Before the spin sets in, I'll be getting to the truth.
This is personal.
No soft questions, no easy answers.
It's one thing if the state has rules in this country. It's another thing whether the police and others actually police them.
Setting the agenda and holding those in power to account.
You can't really blame her if the system is set up this way.
You will not want to miss it, trust me. The Camilla Tominey Show, Sundays from 9:30, only on GB News.
I've been in Westminster for a long time, but I know that though power may be here, its effect on people's lives is across the whole of the country. We may be where rules are made, but it's where they're implemented that matters. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for forthright and frank discussion on where Britain has come from, where it's going, and where it will end up. That's State of the Nation, Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Vox Populi, Vox Dei.
As soon as it hits 11 and the headlines come in,
The Late Edition brings you the breaking news from all the front pages.
because the news is going to happen.
So get a head start today.
Patrick Christie's tonight, late edition.
Alex Armstrong tonight, Late Edition. From 11 o'clock every night.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact is Trump made a good start. No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Bold. They are under no illusion. Ray, are you a human trafficker? Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it.
Don't get us on the BBC.
Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines. The smell of gasoline. Should we be worried about it? From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos. What I'm going to do now, they are throwing things out the car as we speak. Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Well, breaking news in the last hour. Reform UK wants to launch the largest military operation in the English Channel since World War II to stop small boat arrivals from France. A Nigel Farage-led government would send the Royal Navy into the Channel to intercept all migrant boats there and then return them to France or Belgium under a plan called Operation Fortress. Well, Reform says that the plan is in line with international law and that it will both halt small boat arrivals and act as a humanitarian response. Well, Zia Youssef, the party's Home Affairs spokesperson, said this: Britain is being invaded. Tory and Labour governments responded with a free ferry service and free hotels. Reform UK will respond by launching the largest military operation in the English Channel since World War II. A Labour Party spokesperson has responded. Reform have reheated an old announcement in their latest desperate bid to distract from their growing sleaze scandals. Anger and easy answers won't bring crossings down. The serious action we've taken has started to have a real impact and has led to 46,000 attempted crossings stopped and 70,000 people with no right to be here removed. We know there's more to do on this complex issue. Well, I've got my panel back here in the studio with me now. Let me start with you on this, Ali. Because this debate is rehashing itself, and it's because the migrant crisis is still ongoing. That's why we're still talking about it, and now the weather is good. There's a lot of migrants flooding over, and it's becoming a much more visual issue again. Now, this is not a new policy from Reform UK. We've seen this policy, I think it was a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
They said they're going to. That's right. Yes. Yeah. Before the general election, I think Richard Tice said they'd deploy the Navy into the English Channel. That got met with a lot of no, you can't do that under international law, maritime law. Some people say you could.
Well, of course. I mean, it's obviously it happened in Australia, and of course there were lots of little things that they had to get around. For example, under the international maritime law, you have to save a ship that could be not, sinkable. But what they did instead was bring their own dinghies that were unsinkable and put the illegal migrants onto their own dinghies and then took them back to one of their own islands. I think it's a good idea, to be honest. And at the same time, to be fair, you beef up the Navy, which, as we know, is in shambles at the moment. It's really underfunded. So if part of their sort of defence spending goes into beefing up the Navy, which in turn also helps the immigration crisis, then that's a great idea. And I think absolutely it will, prevent people from wanting to make that dangerous journey. I think it's going to be difficult trying to get the French to take them back. So I think part of the other another big part of the plan has to be where you're actually going to send them, because what you can get the Navy to be in the Channel and take them on board and deport them somewhere. That's one thing. It's going to be difficult to get the French and
I'll come to you in a second, Barry, to respond to some of these comments here. But Adam, I guess the challenge might be, we could deploy our Navy. What if the French say we're going to deploy ours? It's just this ping-pong with these migrants.
I think this shows that the main line there is that it's in line with international law. As you say, Australia did it. Greece have done some really mad stuff to stop these illegals. We just don't have the political will to do it. It can be done. I think the optics of seeing warships in the Channel would galvanise this nation. It would really make me think, right, they're trying to protect us. The only problem is is none of our ships work. We tried to send them to Iran, and it took a month to get there, and then it got there and broke down. Do we have the ships to do this? What I would like to see, and this is, again, an old policy idea, is buy 2 old ferries or 2 old cruise ships, put them somewhere in the channel at either end, and you pick these up and you take them to the ferries or to the big ships. Then they're not touching down on UK soil, and then we can deal with it. And then we can find out who these people are and what. But look, I think the optics of it are brilliant, and for Reform to play on this is really going to get people going. It's a great vote winner for me.
Barry?
Well, look, there's a number of practical problems. One is you don't need soil, unfortunately, Adam. You can claim asylum within territorial waters. And, of course, territorial waters normally extend 12 miles out from your coastline. In between Dover and Calais, they can only extend 11 miles because it's 22 miles, so it's the midpoint. Right? So what you're actually looking at, the reason Australia can do this is nobody actually lives close by. You have your 12-mile territorial waters, you've got your EEZ, your exclusive economic zone, which is 200 miles out, and then you've got the open seas. You can't do that in the Channel, and that's the problem, because what you'd have to do, the British Navy cannot invade territorial waters of France. France can't invade territorial waters of the UK, and so you'd be stuck on that midline with your Navy not being able to go any further, but as soon as they come into your territorial waters, they can claim asylum. So it is not a practical solution.
But Barry, OK, so I take that point. British people are really fed up with this.
Yeah. Absolutely.
It's the top, and I think sometimes practicality doesn't beat being seen to do something.
But look,
the job of Parliament, the job of the Prime Minister and the government is to protect British people, is to stop these sorts of crossings from happening. People see this as an invasion. I think a lot of people feel like it is when they can break into the country. I've gone to Southall, one of the most diverse parts of this country, actually. Legal migrants there, of which there are very, very many, tell me they are deeply offended by this crisis because they have worked their backsides off to come here legally. And I think what people want to see, and why this policy from Reform will end up being popular, is because they see British resurgence going, we're going to do something about
Can
this.
I just add, though, because obviously you say the problem is that they, get onto territorial, British territory, then they can then claim asylum. I think combined with this new policy, or old policy, that Reform have had, is also leaving the ECHR and the Refugee Convention, which means that actually we can just go, it doesn't matter if you're here, you can't claim asylum. So I think that's all together. So actually, maybe...
Adam, how far do you think the government needs to go? I mean, what else do you think needs to change?
What needs to change? We need to mass deport people that have come here illegally. People are sick and tired. We've got veterans that are sleeping on the streets, veterans that can't feed their families. You come over on a dinghy and you are given housing, free food, free healthcare, free legal advice, free everything, free clothes. You do not need any money because your life is taken care of. Now, that is an insult to British people here. And I say the same things every day, but it is getting to a boiling point now where people really have had enough. And what is the point of paying your taxes, of working hard, when you've got freeloaders from around the world? And now, under the definition of a so-called refugee, there's probably 30 or 40 million around the world that are eligible to come here. So it's going to be an endless flow of people. This is not going to stop unless we put warships there, we start deporting, we start taking benefits away and saying, look, we know it's harsh, don't bother coming because you're not getting anything.
Go on, Barry.
Look, you act as if this is an easy solution. The reality is...
Trump has proven it is, Barry.
No, the reality is that what you're proposing is to send them back. Right? To send them back to France, right?
A safe country.
Yeah, absolutely. But France won't accept them. So what do you do then? And, all the ideas that you can just say, we're going to push them back, And then France says, well,
and that is why a third country was the best option. And your government immediately came in and got rid of that policy.
Sorry, this is an old trope, but it doesn't wash. It really doesn't wash. Because if for a moment, Rishi Sunak had thought that policy was actually going to work, he would not have called the general election when he did.
The migrants told us on the beach of Calais that they did not want to end up in Rwanda.
Of course they didn't. But, look,
so is that not a deterrent, Barry?
No, it's not.
So they tell us they don't want to end up in a third country, and you're saying it's not a deterrent?
They don't want to end up in a third country. How many of them would have, Adam? How many was that 700 million
Barry,
spent? No, just answer the question.
All right, if I'm giving 5,000 or 3,000 to get on a boat and it's 50-50 whether I'm going to get deported, I'm going to think twice. I might think, right, I'll go Germany instead.
Answer the question.
No, that is the question. You play the percentages. At the moment, 4% are getting deported. Okay. 96%.
Let me come back at you, OK? You've just said that there are millions that could come, and yet we know that £700 million that was spent on the Rwanda deal could have only taken 300 people. Right?
So we open more.
People. So
if that works, we open more.
But actually, you didn't have more. And everyone sitting in Calais knew that actually their odds were good.
OK. There we have it. What do you all think at home? A robust debate here in the studio. I'll read out some of your says in the next section because we have got to get to the front pages, including the Daily Telegraph saying this: police warn early release will force patrol cuts. That's coming up next.
I forecast a perfect holiday in the sun.
Weather looking good then?
For sure, and no worries about our travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GBNews Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hi there. The hot, sunny and dry theme continues across most of the Mediterranean through the next few days. There will be a few isolated thunderstorms, particularly for Portugal on Monday, but elsewhere across the Mediterranean, barely a cloud in the sky for many coastal regions, and it will feel very hot in that strong August sunshine. Temperatures comfortably into the 30s and approaching 40 degrees Celsius in the hottest spots. The outlook for the rest of the week, well, generally the settled sunny theme continues with temperatures once again in the high 30s for some.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GBNews Travel Destinations Forecast.
Good evening and welcome to your latest GB News weather update from the Met Office. Well, the heat and humidity is set to build quite quickly as we move into Monday. A very hot day is on the cards across the southeast, but there will be some rain or showers courtesy of this area of low pressure for some, mainly in the north and the west, but we might just see one or two heavy showers sparked by this heat and humidity that's drifting in from continental Europe. That process is already underway this evening, so whilst it's a fine end to the day for many, we do see thicker cloud out towards the west, and you'll notice we could see some spots of light rain across parts of Northern Ireland, and the rain blossoming somewhat as we go through the early hours of Monday morning across central and southern Scotland. Here it won't be a particularly warm night, but across England and Wales it will turn increasingly humid with lows perhaps not falling much below 17 or 18 degrees Celsius in some of our larger urban areas in the south. Now, after that warm and humid night, it will quickly turn pretty hot as we go into Monday. The strong August sunshine really quickly lifting those temperatures. A damp start across parts of Northern Ireland, but the most persistent rain probably at this point across more central parts of Scotland. So a pretty wet commute to work across the central belt of Scotland, for example. Still a bit of brightness perhaps across the very far north of Scotland, but an increasing chance of showers or longer spells of rain here as we go through the day. So the rain becomes a bit more confined to northern Scotland, but there will be showers breaking out across Northern Ireland and southern Scotland too, and possibly one or two isolated ones across England and Wales, but these vary hit and miss. Most places staying dry, and it will be a sunny and hot day, particularly in the east of England. Temperatures perhaps approaching the mid-30s for some, so oppressively hot and humid, not comfortable at all. A few scattered showers of thunderstorms overnight and into Tuesday, possibly even in the southeast of England, but for most, Tuesday will be a cloudier and slightly cooler day, a greater chance of catching a shower, and some longer spells of rain across the north of Scotland where it will be quite windy. Through Wednesday, again a changeable day with sunny spells and scattered showers, temperatures trending downwards as we go through the week, returning to average.
From cold mornings
to warm family brunches.
From football to tennis in the car.
In the kitchen.
GB News Breakfast is there. With the stories you need and the conversations that matter.
Anyway, let's talk business.
Well, it has been a historic night in British politics.
It's astonishing, isn't it?
We're here again to start your day just right. GB News Breakfast.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on GB News.
Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Welcome back to Alex Armstrong Tonight, everybody. Before we go through Monday's front pages, on our story earlier this evening about veterans' pensions, a Department for Work and Pension spokesman said this: "We have enormous gratitude and respect for those who have served our country. Lump sum payments are disregarded when assessing eligibility for universal credit for up to 12 months, and even longer if the funds are placed into a trust. Regular armed forces pensions are treated as unearned income and are fully taken into account in line with the approach of other occupational pensions." All right, there you have it. Let's get to your front pages, shall we? The Daily Telegraph. Police warn early release will force patrol cuts. Force chief fears neighbourhood policing at risk in a push for community sentences. The Daily Mail. Burnham must scrap disastrous pro-union strike laws. Yet Tories tell PM to halt job-killing changes. Good luck with that one. The Daily Mirror. Harry, Dad, let the world see us together. I mean, it's just like, do they want to use this as some sort of like, I think this is the feeling, isn't it? They want to use the king as some sort of PR tool for the two of them. I mean, I just think this is getting a bit ridiculous. All right, let's get to the Sun. Rip-off, right? French billing UK £8,000 for every migrant they turn back. I don't know whether that's part of this hundreds of millions of pounds of deal we already do with them, but dearie me, it's just getting a joke, isn't it? All right, let's get thoughts of my panel here on this one. Should we just stay with that story there? Let's stay with the Sun for a second, because we have just been talking about migrants. We might as well just carry it on. Taxpayers are stung for an estimated £8,000 every time French cops stop a small boat migrant, the Sun analysis has shown. Our probe last night sparks calls for the government to withhold funding as Prime Minister Andy Burnham vowed to get a grip of the crisis on a visit to Dover, Kent. Around 2,000 migrants have arrived since he took office in July 20th. Yeah, Adam, £8,000 a migrant. It's quite a jackpot for the French, isn't it? You think let them get somewhere, stop them, and then charge us £8,000.
The taxpayer, Brits, are being taken for mugs whether they come over and then we're paying for them from the rest of their life, or if they're getting stopped, we're still paying for them. This crisis really does need to be halted pretty quickly, and I'm pleased that Reform are saying things like putting the Navy in the Channel. A government needs to show leadership and, first and foremost, balls in this situation, because it's a national security risk. It's not just the money. We're seeing sexual assaults, rapes, murders, even terrorists coming over on these dinghies. It's not a laughing matter, and it's not something the left can just brush away. This is probably the most important thing in the next election. And Labour, for me, have shown that they're not serious.
Ellie, we've spoke a lot about the financial impact of this crisis on the country. It runs up into the billions when you add the hotels, probably the refurbishment of the ex-army barracks, the transfers, the food, the hospital bills. It soars into billions. Every time a migrant arrives here, we have to pay for that. This is cheaper, the £8,000. Is there a case to be made to say, actually, we'd rather pay the French this £8,000 than stack up hundreds of thousands of pounds per person?
I mean, yes, but I think basically what they're saying here is that the amount of money that we've given them in various deals, they actually haven't turned away that many, prevented that many migrants from actually crossing the Channel. I think that, I mean, we saw with Chris Philp, the Shadow Home Secretary, when he was talking to the French police, he was saying, why aren't you stopping them? Well, orders are, just let them go.
Yeah.
And we gave them £500 million just a few months ago, Shabana Mahmood did. And it's a nonsense. I think we shouldn't be paying the French any money at all until, something actually gets done here. So, as you say, 8K for one migrant, fine, compared to the, billions, all massive. But also, let's not forget, I think Shabana Mahmood is trying to give families, 40 grand to leave?
Yeah, up to 40 grand. So it's 10 grand per person, up to 40 grand.
Yeah. Per person, all of this sort of stuff. I mean, it's ridiculous. Mm-hmm. So it creates that pull factor that we need to crack down on. I think Shabana Mahmood's been making the right noises, but again, the numbers here aren't looking good.
Barry?
Look, I think the 8,000, it's not that they're chalking up, OK, we've stopped another migrant, therefore you get 8,000. What they're talking about is the total amount of money that's being paid. Yeah. And the Sun's just apportioned that out and said, well, in terms of the number that have been stopped, the 46,000 that have been stopped, that would work out at 8,000. Mm. But what they're paying for is actually, as your security correspondent, Mark White, reported, for the way in which the impact of the attacks on the criminal gangs have forced this down the coastline. It's made it much more difficult for the gangs to operate. That's why there's been a 43% drop in the number of people this year. It's gone up in the last week or so, and we need to see it come down.
Yeah,
but
I think that's agreed.
It is going to take coordinated action. The idea that you don't work with the French to try and do that, I think, would actually result in a much worse situation.
All right, we've got to leave it there, Adam. I'm sure there'll be more discussion about this in the late edition as well. But coming up on the front page of the Times, the toll of schooling's straitjacket, the Education Secretary to get rid of one-size-fits-all teaching. What does that even mean? We're going to find out.
GB News Breakfast. Every day from 6 a.m.
Should James Bond stay white and male?
Yes, I think that's probably the best course of action. If you think about it, Amazon have taken over Bond about a year ago, and they're a big company, aren't they? And this is a risk, isn't it? They don't want to be seen to cast their first James Bond in anything other than the most popular Bond to everybody. So if you're a casting director, like Debbie McWilliams has said, the previous one, I suppose it'd be who would be the most popular? What's the safest thing to do? So I think, in other iterations, there's nothing to say it couldn't be anything other than white, but this is the first one back, so I think it will be the safe thing to do. And it has to be a man. That's non-negotiable. I think audiences would instantly be complaining, and they want as little controversy going into this new film as they can.
The People's Channel. Martin Daubney. Weekdays from 3 p.m.
With the football, a row has erupted. A racism row again, this time at a Kent secondary school after pupils' children were allegedly told to scrub painted England flags from their arms because, you've guessed it, they were deemed as racist. Is this the woke flag monitors simply spoiling everybody's fun?
Now, look, if we are going to police flags, that's clearly a problem. I think there are lots of people who feel negatively towards the England flag because of what it's represented in the past, and that's a real shame. But it's nice to see that new generations, I'm the son of immigrants, and I don't feel that. I haven't inherited that, and that's really positive. Look, so we should be able to, especially during a football match, fly that flag with pride and enjoy it.
I know that part of the world a little bit. I travelled to Broadstairs, Thanet, Sandwich. You see the Union flag, and particularly the England flag, everywhere.
Yes.
Even under normal circumstances, you see the England flag being proudly flown. So this is completely insane.
The People's Channel. This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
There was a Ryanair flight from Thessaloniki in Greece, and a part of the plane hit the window and pulled it out. And so this man, a 61-year-old Serbian man, was sucked out of the window. And his wife, she says that she was desperately holding onto his legs to keep him inside the plane for 5 minutes. Wow. It was horrendous. Apparently the aircraft did eventually land normally and passengers were safe and a replacement airline was sent. he was taken to hospital with friction burns. It was a part of the propeller had come loose from the engine and it had hit the window, and that's what had taken the window out. So it wasn't as though it was thought to be loose in the first place. But can you imagine?
No.
I mean,
I don't want to.
Unbelievable.
I'm
not a good flyer, I have to admit. This terrifies me.
GB News, the People's Channel.
More front pages here. Let's start with the Times. Toll of schooling straitjacket. The Education Secretary, one-size-fits-all academic approach led to 1 million youngsters not being in training or work, apparently. The Daily Express, get this one. 1,500 foreign criminals in housing paid for by you. You can see which one I'm going to talk about next, can't you? The Metro, tanks for nothing. I haven't actually read the details of this story. It is soaring prices at the pump see thieves fleeing forecourts with over 200 grand's worth of petrol. The Daily Star, he's ducked. Yes, this was your Union Jackass on Friday, actually.
Yeah, don't use that language.
Which we won't use the language we used to again, but there we go. The Guardian, UK facing food shortages due to drought, say farmers. Absolutely true. And, of course, the war in Iran, if it picks up again, fertiliser will be a problem too. And leading the GBNews.com website tonight, Reform UK will launch the largest military operation since World War II to end small boat crossings if the party wins the next election. They're also saying Andy Burnham vows to be relentless with dealing with the small boats crisis. All right, let's go to the Daily Express, shall we? It's an exclusive here. Taxpayer-funded accommodation given to convicted migrant felons. 1,500 foreign criminals in housing paid for by you. At least 1,500 foreign crooks have been given free homes instead of being deported. Taxpayers are footing the bill to have criminals living in their communities. An Express investigation has found. That's all we've got on this story so far to work with. But having seen and heard a lot of these stories, this may be people who we've tried to deport who are foreign criminals, failed to, if I'm right in saying this, Barry, and now, of course, they're in limbo, so they can't work, we have to put them up somewhere.
Look, and this is why it's so important what Shabana Mahmood said about getting these agreements with other countries that we can deport them. Because it's ridiculous that the taxpayers paying for these people. When we know they have no right to be here, we can deport them and we should be deporting them. But as you say, if those other countries refuse to accept them, it makes it very difficult. And that's why we need to be using all the leverage that we have, and in particular with Pakistan, which is one of the key countries we're talking about here. We need to be using that leverage, in particular with the visas that are given out to people from Pakistan to come to the UK.
But she's not, Barry. She's not doing that. Look, I keep going back. Donald Trump put a plane full of people that he didn't want in his country. I think it was Venezuela.
El Salvador.
El Salvador. Yeah. And he sent them there, and he said, if you don't accept them, we're going to stop this, this, this. And if you really want it, there will be a big problem. Now, I keep saying it, I want to see a government with balls that says, right, I'm going to put the British people first. We do not want these dangerous 1,500 foreign criminals in our country. We're going to start putting them on planes to your country. If you don't accept them back, you're not going to get the foreign aid that we shouldn't be giving you anyway. You're not going to get that. You're not going to allow, we're not going to have visas from your country to our country. You're going to face consequences. Any government, and I believe someone like Nigel Farage or Reform would do that because they know that people like me are up in arms about this. The British public are sick and tired. Look, we're housing foreign criminals. They're getting free housing. And yet there are people on the streets of this country. It is upside down and things have to change. We're seen as a weak touch around the world.
And Ellie, Barry touched on Pakistan. This is an issue I've spoken about with Shabir Ahmed. Of course, people will know who he is now. He was one of those famous grooming gang, the rape gang ringleaders who we can't deport because of some obscure laws. Even once we do change the laws, which Shabana Mahmood did try to do, we wouldn't be able to deport him anyway because Pakistan refused to have him back.
Absolutely shocking. I mean, as you say, Adam, you stop foreign aid immediately. You totally revoke any sort of visa scheme, which actually was a Tory policy, but they never actually enacted it. So it'd be nice to see Shabana enacting that, because this is absolutely an outrage. And, there's story after story, whether it's foreign criminals or, migrants in Crowborough or HMOs, again, on the taxpayers' dime, and we literally do not have the money for it. And we see Andy Burnham promising the land of milk and honey, whether it's, the National Care Service that's going to be £18 billion, all that sort of stuff. Actually, the priority of any government should be protecting its citizens, whether that's in defence or on the street or booting out foreign criminals.
All right, listen, panel, thank you all so much for tonight. Some of you are staying in for the late edition. Adam, you're off. I'm off too because I've got to be here for breakfast tomorrow morning, so come and join me and Ellie for breakfast. Thank you guys very much. Thank you for joining me. Up next, Will Kingston is going to look after Alex Armstrong tonight, late edition. But first, we'll get your weather.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Good evening and welcome to your latest GB News weather update from the Met Office. Well, the heat and humidity is set to build quite quickly as we move into Monday. A very hot day is on the cards across the southeast, but there will be some rain or showers courtesy of this area of low pressure for some, mainly in the north and the west, but we might just see one or two heavy showers sparked by this heat and humidity that's drifting in from continental Europe. That process is already underway this evening, so whilst it's a fine end to the day for many, we do see thicker cloud out towards the west, and you'll notice we could see some spots of light rain across parts of Northern Ireland, and the rain blossoming somewhat as we go through the early hours of Monday morning across central and southern Scotland. Here it won't be a particularly warm night, but across England and Wales it will turn increasingly humid, with lows perhaps not falling much below 17 or 18 degrees Celsius in some of our larger urban areas in the south. Now, after that warm and humid night, it will quickly turn pretty hot as we go into Monday. The strong August sunshine really quickly lifting those temperatures. A damp start across parts of Northern Ireland, but the most persistent rain probably at this point across more central parts of Scotland. So a pretty wet commute to work across the central belt of Scotland, for example. Still a bit of brightness perhaps across the very far north of Scotland, but an increasing chance of showers or longer spells of rain here as we go through the day. So the rain becomes a bit more confined to northern Scotland, but there will be showers breaking out across Northern Ireland and southern Scotland too, and possibly one or two isolated ones across England and Wales, but these vary hit and miss, most places staying dry, and it will be a sunny and hot day, particularly in the east of England, temperatures perhaps approaching the mid-30s for some, so oppressively hot and humid, not comfortable at all. A few scattered showers and thunderstorms overnight and into Tuesday, possibly even in the southeast of England, but for most, Tuesday will be a cloudier and slightly cooler day, a greater chance of catching a shower, and some longer spells of rain across the north of Scotland where it will be quite windy. Through Wednesday, again a changeable day with sunny spells and scattered showers, temperatures trending downwards as we go through the week, returning to average.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Welcome to Orlisanti by Domes Resorts, where we're celebrating with an incredible £60,000 to be won. Plus, we'll give you a fine gold bullion bar worth over £5,000. Don't miss your chance to win over £65,000 worth of prizes.
For a chance to win, text GOLD to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB22 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 21st of August. This is a network giveaway. Entries will be pooled. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
No,
Because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back,
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
and we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Some people enjoy lazy Sunday mornings, but not me. What's the truth of the matter?
So that's a very live question.
Would you support him if he waters down these plans? Before the spin sets in, I'll be getting to the truth.
This is personal.
No soft questions, no easy answers.
It's one thing if the state has rules in this country. It's another thing whether the police and others actually police them.
Setting the agenda and holding those in power to account.
You can't really blame her if the system is set up this way.
You will not want to miss it, trust me. The Camilla Tominey Show, Sundays from 9:30, only on GB News.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions, but every Friday night at 9 p.m. you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Breaking news, live updates, stories that matter.
From the heart of the GB newsroom to every corner of Britain.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
GB News bulletins are there to deliver the latest news that matters to you.
Bulletins on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
I'm Will Kingston, filling the sizable shoes of Alex Armstrong. This is the late edition.
And I have warned Jordan Bardella, who is the bookie's favourite to be the next French president, that after £800 million of British taxpayers' money has been given to the French government to stop these boats from leaving, that if necessary, we'll get the Royal Marines to tow the boats back to the French beaches. And he gulped hard.
Well, a decisive statement from Reform. They have announced they will put the Navy in the Channel if necessary to stop small boats making the perilous journey to the UK. They're calling it the largest military operation since World War II. Labor has responded, I'd suggest in a slightly less decisive way. I'll bring you that in a moment. Meanwhile, The Sun accused the useless French police of ripping off the British taxpayer, saying it will cost £8,000 every time they actually stop a migrant from crossing as part of the near £1 billion the British government has sent to Paris. And when they get here, they then get given free homes, as the Daily Express reports. The paper has said that more than 1,500 foreign criminals have been housed using